Few parties share a past as turbulent and fractious as the Liberal Democrats.
Their ancestors can be traced back to the Liberal Party, founded in London's St James Street in 1859. But despite the foundations laid by Palmerston, Gladstone and Asquith, the last time they ruled the country was 95 years ago.
David Lloyd George was PM, Britain was at war with Germany, and John McCormack provided the bittersweet soundtrack. Fast forward to the 1980s. And after decades as a third party and increasingly two-party state, the Liberals had had enough. They formed an alliance with the SDP, a party created by the Gang of Four Labour defectors. Eager to join them was the former rebel Labour MP Dick Taverne.
As far as the Liberal Party were concerned, I mean, why did an alliance with the SDP look attractive to them?
I think they realised after a while the SDP was going to be a considerable force, but there's not room in the centre for two separate groups, and it took a long time to realise that.
The alliance didn't lead to huge success at the polls, but even so, in a historic vote in '88, the parties decided to formally merge into what would eventually become the modern Liberal Democrats. Kylie was singing about being lucky, but SDP leader David Owen didn't share her optimism, reportedly calling the new dawn a ghastly mess. Today, with the real prospect of neither Labour or the Conservatives winning an outright majority in the election, the party Owen once called a folly could well make or break the newly elected government.
When you have a minority government or a very small majority government, the bloc of Liberal Democrat votes can actually make the difference between whether law is passed or law is not passed. So it is potentially a very powerful position.
Publicly at least, leader Nick Clegg isn't ready to talk about any deals.
Will I ever join a Conservative government? No. Will I ever join a Labour government? No.
That may be so, but if they do hold the balance of power, what key policies would they bargain for with the winning party?
What we've said is that before the election, during the election and after the election, the four steps that we've outlined, the four most important policies of the Liberal Democrats: fairness in the tax system, cleaning up politics, a green economy and a fair start in life for every child. Those are the things that are going to be most important to us. Those are the things that we will use whatever influence we have to achieve after the election.
Nearly 6 million people voted Lib Dem at the last general election, but this translated into only 62 seats at Westminster. That's partly the fault of the current first-past-the-post voting system, which isn't always kind to smaller parties. Still, others believe if they're to catch more voters this year, they'll need to be clear about what they stand for.
There is a danger that the Liberal Democrats could be seen to be opportunistic, trying to be all things to all men. That's always a problem with the party, actually, is because on the right wing of that party, you've got very libertarian people who really want, no laws about anything and let people just get on with living their lives. And on the other side, you've got really quite an interventionist nanny state, sort of almost old Labour views. And those are two very, very different and almost mutually exclusive views. And that's quite difficult to please every voter with.
So is a party yet to celebrate its 23rd birthday experienced enough to ramp up its role in British life?
Their former spin doctor certainly thinks so.
Let's not forget, on the economy, which I think will be important in this election, Vince Cable has been a beacon of sense and of foresight over the last few years. It was Vince Cable who was saying many years ago, this debt bubble will burst.
The Lib Dem stance on Iraq and the economy have won them some friends. But there isn't a great British history of power sharing.
If there's one thing we can guarantee after this general election is that any pact with any of the parties will end in tears. Pacts between parties always do. No question at all. I think it'll end in bitter recrimination.
Dick Taverne, though, doesn't share that view.
On the continent, you've had perfectly stable governments who've managed to achieve considerable reforms without having absolute one-party rule.
True enough, but that's perhaps the perennial problem for the Lib Dems. They can't sell themselves as part of a pact, yet doing a deal maybe remains their best bet.
One way or another, we could be seeing more of the party that ruled Britain when Britain ruled the world.